I'm going to coach you through everything. It's a fairly simple process. We'll be your eyes. You know, so if we say bike, it means just keep your path or check. Some people like start this way and then they get the bike's way. You know, like, no, it's just like, you know, keep your path. You can check so that, you know, if you suspect anything, you can see where it's at and of course move out the way. So definitely, I can already see here, under a bit of stress, very anxious.
Very mad when we got here.
Okay. How long ago did you get here?
I got here at like 9:30, so it took us like 10 minutes to walk here, but I got from the Parker route, so Paige was busy.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, he was very mad that we were here.
Okay. I was just reading your shirt right now. That's funny. Do you have any questions before we get started?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I watched some of the videos they put up for other people what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's appropriate, like what you told me, since my mom was coming. So I was tapping things 3 times and then throwing up.
Sure.
And it was working great at home, but I know it's totally different for him
here.
out in public.
Correct. Yeah.
At home, fantastic. He's doing really good.
Okay.
Here, obviously, we haven't done anything yet.
Correct.
The walk here was not as bad as I expected it.
Okay.
So, I didn't know she was going to bring her dog, and I was like,
Uh-oh. Sure. So, yeah, inside the home is easier because it's really just don't do that.
Yes.
Okay. Here, it's not just don't do that, it's do this. And that's where more of the work comes into play. When we talk about obedience and behavior, obedience, they're not born to sit, stay down, calm, heel. But they're born and they have a language amongst themselves that's like, oh, I don't like when you jump on me, consequence, right? So that's why that's super easy. So I'm not too worried about the behavioral stuff. Stopping things is simple. It's teaching things is a little bit more work, okay? So the first thing we want to do here is find Kane, correct?
yes.
Kane's operating number or working number. What number are you at right now?
Right now, it's lower than it was before, 67.
67. Okay.
But he's one of those dogs, you can sometimes start him off at 20. That's okay. He goes up and down.
Sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's his emotional state.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go down to 45. Okay, I'm gonna look at Kane. Okay, when I say tap, you're gonna tap the button. Okay. Tap. So that was a fairly big response. Give one more tap. 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 Let's go down to 38. Okay. So one thing that I did here was I disagreed with Kane laying down. And what did he do now? He sat up, right? And we didn't say sit. So 45 was good. It was a little too much because on the 3rd to 4th tap, right? And then he sat back up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go, okay, we're really close because once you hit that 45, he was like, whoa, what was that, right? He's wanting to figure out how do I stop this? Where did this come from? So that's concerning. Very good. I did a couple because I wanted to see if he would self-correct that laying down, which technically he wasn't doing anything wrong, but for the sake of the visual for the owner, to make it very clear, like that was the correct number, I used it to my advantage, right? Then we saw that 3rd to 4th hit, a little bit too much power, we went down to 38, okay? As you get used to this and how it looks and how it's supposed to look and all that stuff, you kind of just develop a insight, and you'll naturally just go up and down. The number is a reference, okay? Don't get married to a number.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. And you see right there, let's go to 42 now. And it may have been because it was a bike, but not as dramatic in terms of de-escalating, right? You saw it, like he felt it and he was, whoa. And then he sat down, it was a pretty passive sit, but I'm wanting a bit of concern, because concern is what's gonna stick. Okay, concern is what makes him want to change his behavior, just like with people, right? If it's not concerning, it's not important. If it's not important, you're not gonna do it, okay? Same thing for the dog. So I'm gonna coach you through an exercise here. It's very simple. You never formally learned the heel command, is that correct?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the first trainer, she was so, like, dead set on the fact that he was going to attack me and then threw us in a room full of a bunch of dogs and tried to get me to do, like, circles around these dogs, and it was horrible.
Okay.
It was horrible. It was like a game to him.
Yep. 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 46.
Yeah, that's way too much.
Yep. 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 50. Yep. 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 58. Yep. 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 tap, tap. 64. Tap, tap, tap. There we go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take that e-collar and place it up here.
Okay.
I just realized it's at the base of the neck,
yeah.
and we want it so up at the above the prong.
You want it over
on
the
top of the prong.
Okay.
Yep. The prong we're gonna use as like a secondary.
Okay.
In case we need control, we have it. But we're gonna try to get as much as we can down with that e-collar. And I'd fit it maybe a notch or two more snug. Is he on the long hair probes or regular? Take a look. Those are standard probes, so like a notch or two tighter.
Okay. I usually make it very tight on him, and I don't know if it's like too tight.
And sometimes there is such a thing as too tight.
Because that's what I don't want to do. Because I can still get my finger under here.
Okay. We go by the box, not by the collar itself, like the 2-finger collar rule that they do. All right, and we'll step aside here. So let's go, since we adjusted it, we're gonna go down to 45 again.
Whatever, you know.
But could you see the similarity between what we did here and what I was having you do in the home?
Yeah.
Right? Just that gradual, it was
Yeah.
tap. Yes, and that's where all these, like the number and this exercise all kind of work together. Okay? So we want Kane to be here. Your visual is right shoulder to left leg. Okay? When you're walking, you want that slack so that Kane gets ahead, and you're gonna be making a 180 immediate right turn like this.
Okay.
Go immediate pump, 180.
So is he going on the outside of me then?
Correct.
Okay.
But he's landing on your left, right? So the reason why you always go to the right is because that'll land him on your left. If you go on the inside, it'll bring him to your right. Okay? So he passes, immediate right. You want him here. Passes, immediate right. You want him here. Okay?
I have to correct him, so I'm probably going to do it wrong.
It's okay.
But whatever.
Oh, there's a little bit more.
Okay, there's more.
Okay. Now, when you're making this turn, we're also going to be remoting. When you hear me say the word tap, that's when you press the button. So if I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. If I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. Okay? So you turn, tap, 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 tap. Kane arrives, you stop. Okay? You're gonna pass again. Tap, 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 tap. He's here, you stop. He goes, tap, 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 right? You're gonna look like a crazy person for a bit. And I'm gonna coach you through it, okay? But that's the general gist of the healing exercise, okay? You're at what number now? 45. So let's go and give a test tap here. Tap. Yep, tap. Good. So you see how you got two responses there. Tap. 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 Good. Okay. And go ahead and just take a step back. Okay. For your slack, go ahead and give some slack here. And you're going to give some slack until you create a J. And the J is kind of by hovering by the armpit area. Right. So slack, slack, slack. Relax your arms. Relax. Yep. There you go. And now go ahead and switch that leash to your sorry, to your right, okay, to your right hand. But you have the slack. There you go, in front of you. I'm trying because there's something. Sorry, I'm trying to imagine. No coffee today. So the reason why I wanted a certain length is because if you have it too low, the dog will overstep, and then it gets tangled in the feet. Okay. So if you have it by the armpit area, it keeps that problem from happening. The other thing is, during this exercise, Kane might go to your right side, okay, which is incorrect. If that happens, you're going to keep walking as you pull to your left and you're remoting to bring him over to your left side, and then you relax. Okay, I will again coach you through all this stuff, but just so you have some kind of idea, because a lot of people when that happens, they stop and they start moving around and they get more tangled. Okay, so go ahead and come forward.
So
Right there, right? And then what I'm going to have you do is you'll start walking that way. And when I say turn, you're going to just make that 180 right turn. And you'll just start tapping. Correct. With him on the outside. And then relax completely. Turn. Tap. 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 And you want to make it in a direct 180.
okay.
So keep your movement. Turn. Tap. 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 Let's go to 50.
Want that about face?
Yes. When you hit 30 minutes, tell me so I can pause and then you can set it. A little bit more slack. Turn. Tap, tap, tap. 55. Turn. Tap, 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 tap. I can see what you're talking about. Third. 45. He's on the boss, right?
Yeah.
Going slow. Now when you turn here, no tap. Just turn. Good. Going to speed up. Where is the other adjustment for leader in the session?
He does it on Pronto too.
On the prong?
Yes.
Okay.
Like you can give him when he's really up there, and you give him a very tiny. He'll like he'll go for it.
Gotcha. You guys have tip. YouTube. I have one that you can borrow, but I won't have it until next class to test it out because it's going to be a pain in the butt going up and down. Okay. So when you trying to go about before me teaching the heel, it was just tap to get him to go back. Was it? Or popping on the collar?
I don't pop him really. If he's on e-collar, it's all just
The remote.
independent.
Okay.
But when he's just on prong, because he is a lot of the time at home, he's not home or anything.
Sure.
And if you're going from like going into the backyard to go to the bathroom to inside and he sees someone in the front walk by, he'll, throw the hackles up, get all ready for it, and then if I give him a little bit of whoop, he'll scream.
Okay.
He just always does it.
Sure, yeah. So we got a couple of factors here. One is just high sensitivity because they're under stress all the time. Or the way of how that collar is perceived. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No.
I agree. This is one thing about training dogs that have already had training is trying to figure out what was done.
Yeah, he was never actually trained
Trained
on
formally.
the e-collar ever.
Uh-huh.
I just had one
Okay.
because I wanted one for him, and I was working at this place, and it was kind of starting to be a big problem
Okay.
as he was like going after dogs.
Okay.
And so they have e-collars there. They have the Garmin, I don't know which one,
Yeah, I know
but
which
and it was not working for him
Sure.
at all. So then I ended up getting this one. Some of the girls there to get whatever prep for it.
Right.
I got it for like peanuts.
Yes. So, because he's walking well with you, okay, which is nice, but it's a problem in the sense that, like, I'd rather work with just when I work with dogs. When people say, like, my dog's handle training, go perfect. It's very easy. Dog knows nothing, right? But when they come in, now I have to like force things to happen in order for him to learn my style of training. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, yeah. There we go. So one thing is, with a guy like him, you're going to be more, you have to be more vigilant than he is. And obviously I can see him from the face of you and you're looking at me, is try getting used to using your peripheral range, okay? So like I can see my dog's head here, right? And if I see this, I'm like, no, there's nothing over there you need to worry about. Okay, so right now there's a lady, like 50 feet, and right there, that was my peripheral range. 50 feet, like walking over there, and he's like he started to make the pucker. Why? Right? Yes, I understand. But for you, now you have to disagree with all that stuff, because every time he's responding to something, and it's coming from that place, it reinforces that place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's becoming more of a habit here. Okay, there we go. And then now you're gonna counter this tap. Tap, 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 tap. I'm gonna bump it a little bit, like 4 levels or so. Tap, tap. Are you doing continuous or knit?
It's on continuous. You want it on?
On knit, yes,
Okay.
put it on knit. Thought I saw continuous one. Yeah.
It's kind of always been
What I typically use is M&C, so that the black is momentary, and then the red is continuous.
So I was watching the video, and I was just worried about that with him, because sometimes I need just the little bump, like
Oh, the boost.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is set to 10 instead of 5,
Okay, I see.
because sometimes it's just like in the moment.
Yes. Okay. So the thing about continuous is, in my opinion, it doesn't allow the brain a lot of time to think.
Okay.
Okay. So now you're on the neck, right? And tap, 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 tap. Bump a little bit, 4 levels or so. Tap, 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 tap. Bump again. There you go. Okay. So when it comes to the remoting, you're gonna get used to just that stuff. And I know what you're talking about, like, oh shit, turn the corner, dog. What do I do, right? That's where I just turn the dial, and you get used to, like, again, not looking at it. I just turn it. I don't care where it lands, because it's just stop the behavior. So if I go from 15 to 45 and he yelps and he stops behavior.
Kind of usually my reaction with it.
Yes. Okay. So I wouldn't worry so much about the boost function. I like that it's got the lock on it. It's got the boost function. It's got the 2 different things. We can make both very continuous. But I'm super simple, Nick, and get used to just using that dial. You know, let's go behind here. And thinking within the moment. Okay. And being calm. Okay, which is the hard part. Okay. As you do this more, you get more depth to the collar. That it becomes just like subconscious. Okay. So we're going to repeat the same exercise now. I'm glad I caught that. So now we're on momentary. Okay. And what you want to do is turn it big. And then what you're going to do is you'll with your left hand, you're going to grab your knee. Left hand. I'm sorry, you're going to be like this. Boom, boom. Yeah. You're going to do 2-handed boom like this. Okay? Yep. 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 So we do slack leash. You go on this one.
Okay.
We do slack leash when we have space. Okay, so when it was empty and I wasn't worried about off-leash dog or anything, I go to slack leash because we're in teaching mode. But then if you step aside and there's going to be a lot going on, you go into management mode. So if you had a moment, if you would have left it like this, you would have had 4 feet to go this way or any other ways, right? So when you step aside, you're adding that other hand in. So now he only has a foot. Okay. Now, if he becomes reactive, you know what to do. Okay. Just, yeah. Okay. Leash-wise, you always want to pull straight up.
Okay.
Leash-wise. Okay. Up and away. Okay. Yeah. And what's our number at right now? So you always step aside. You want to anticipate that there's going to be a reactive moment. Okay, so you always just short as force of habit. Okay, every single time, even if it's something subtle and you think it's not going to be reactive, do this. The reason for that is if I turn the corner and it's a situation like, oh crap, and this dog blows up, you've done this so many times, your first instinct is going to be do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you're practicing all the time. So now I have physical control, then I'm going to the remote to de-escalate the situation, okay? Because if you're trying to remote him and he's still, let me cross, turn to this sidewalk here. Yeah, sure. There you go. He's an edgy boy.
Yes,
He's an edgy boy. So, were you the one that put Barky Boy
Yes.
and boofing? Oh, I
Yes.
remember now. Okay, so always step aside, shorten that leash, only giving a foot. Okay, so it's short, not tight. You don't want to be like this. So if you had it loose and you turn the corner and he's blowing up, then you're like this, trying to control him while you're remoting. Then all this slack to go everywhere, including this way. Okay, so have you ever heard of redirected aggression?
Yes, but he's yet to do that. for
Okay,
me.
right. Typically, when we see redirected aggression, one, the dog already does it, right? Pre-collar and stuff, so I already know, okay, that dog has that habit. Or two, if the dog's never done it, if we have to go to that 100 range or whatever, the high power is going to possibly cause that to happen. So whenever I'm working with the dog, if I'm going up in those levels, you'll see me be up and away. So that if the dog goes upwards, my hand goes up with them. If the dog tries to go towards me, they're not going to reach me because of that only that one little slack. Does that make sense? So you're learning. So it's not just like training in like the dog. It's teaching you how to handle the situation so that you don't get hurt. Okay? Because I don't want you to get bit or anything like that. And that's the other thing about continuous. You're more likely to get a redirected aggression with continuous. Okay? Have you ever seen a movie where they're like suturing somebody or like or like sawing their arm or something? They give them something to bite on, right? Because that pain's got to go somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So same thing for this guy. Yeah, same thing for these guys, right? They express through their mouths. If he's under stress, licking, panting, chewing, barking, biting, nipping, licking, right? All that stuff, they're expressing their emotions through their mouth. So when you come in with that high power, at that level of discomfort, and it's continuous, when you let it go, I'm for sure expecting this dog's going to want to go somewhere with that, then I'm always ready for it. That's the other reason why I dissuade from using continuous, unless the dog's off leash and they're not near me. But, like, let's say the dog is near another dog, I would anticipate it's probably going to be directed to the first dog. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, just breaking those old habits, picking up some new ones, and hopefully we don't have to go to that.
Yeah. I've been really high with him before on this. He's never done anything like that. The closest he does with that is like when he gets really excited. He has to be doing
Oh, sure, like the redirect.
like it's got to be. And when he gets, when we would take him to the park before, and a dog would walk by, he would, if he had a ball in his mouth, he just would destroy it. Like,
Oh, he redirect all that animosity towards the toy.
Like,
Sure. And I'll follow up with you to see what is he from a breeder?
yes.
Okay. Is he from a working line?
I'm sure it wasn't the best decision. I was just like, not having a great time, really wanted a dog. And like,
Get him.
reached out to this lady and I was like, okay, he's from Oklahoma, so I didn't know that. But
Okay.
she is a breeder. Do I know if she's a fantastic breeder? She breeds for color.
Oh, sure. And that, like, you know, like white German Shepherds
I
are
had
known
one
for being,
growing up.
being neurotic and stuff, right? So, I'd be worth looking into. But we'll go back on the sidewalk. We'll do some more exercises here. And I'm gonna have you just do the same thing, step back and forth. And then what I'm also gonna have you do is change. What's your number?
69.
Yeah, we'll keep it there. As speeding up and slowing down, okay? And of course I'll coach you through it. And whenever you're ready.
Can we just turn now?
Yep.
Jeez.
Go to 52.
So, I'm the big dumb.
What?
I forgot my batteries, extra batteries.
We can go to my phone.
Okay.
Would you mind actually, if that's the case, running to my car and grabbing that silver cord again?
Sure.
Where'd you park? Turn, Pat. Right here on Webster.
Same place?
Yeah, just use the parking, the lock button.
mean, I can like call Nick to go to my place and pick it up.
That's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead and speed up. Turn, tap, tap, tap. Turn, tap, tap. 58. Turn, tap, tap, tap. Slow turn. Good. Go and speed up. Good. Slower. Slower. Go to the turn. Good. That's good turn. Go and speed up. Slow. Slower. Turn. Stop. Good. Forward. Do you run or jog with him at all?
No, can't run.
He can't run or you can't run?
I can't run.
Go ahead and slow. Turn. Tap, tap forward. Tap, tap, tap forward. Turn. Tap, 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 tap. Slow. Stop. Good. You're going to be a difficult case.
I'm sure.
All right, so I like what we're seeing. Is this exercise making sense to you?
Yes.
You're not getting, since there's already some kind of baseline there, whether formal or informal of training, you're not getting the very obvious, he's ahead of me, turn to see the shift from the dog being all over to the dog walking at my side. Okay? So, what we're trying to teach Kane here, I'll just say Blue, Kane, is to come to that left side, okay, and to focus more on you than use on the environment.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if we do just if he forges tap to get him back, it's a forever problem, because when the dog comes back and they look at the situation, they can't decipher why it's happening. Because he's a dog, he's got 4 legs, he has a faster walking cadence, right? So when he comes back, he's like, what was that for? We're walking the same way. In this case, when Kane if he were to forge ahead of you, and I turn and I'm remoting, and he's like, I don't like this, what's going on? And he turns, he's like, oh, mom's going that way, and he catches up, and it stops. He goes, oh, mom's telling me I'm going the wrong way, and I need to pay attention. So then the dogs will associate coming into that left side, and it makes a lot more sense. Does that make sense? Right? Because that's the most common way that people and some not good trainers try to teach, which is just make the dog or stop the
Yeah, that's
back.
like basically what I told like the people I worked with. That was like
That's
the
the
idea,
most.
and I was like,
It's
doesn't really work for him.
right. I don't teach that way. It's never made sense to me because the dog. I think a lot of people look at the dog and because the human understands it, because we're far more intelligent, they expect the dog to, but they're very simple, right? So for him, he's like, hey, I don't like this. What's going on? And then he feels leash tension. He turns, and mom's going that way. He catches up, and it stops. Like, oh. Every time that I feel this, and I turn around, mom's not with me. She's going the opposite way. Then we start seeing him wanting to pay more attention. Okay? We're at 62 now. 58. Okay. We're going to give a tiny bit more slack here. And I'm going to have you just pivot off that. Okay? Good. We'll keep it there. We'll see how that works, okay? Go ahead and slow turn. Good. Now, when he turns with you, there was no tap there, correct? Okay. Now, when you started walking,
When he gets far away.
turn again. Tap. Tap. Good. Slow turn. That's okay. Very good. Back. Going slow. So stop. Good. I'm not going to care about this here.
Yeah.
Now, typically, when you would walk with him, would he turn to face you like that, or is he usually on your side? Tap.
He's usually on my side.
Okay. So do you know why this is happening now? Which way do you keep turning?
So he's expecting to turn.
Correct. Yep. We'll just ignore it for now, okay?
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
So.
For me, it sucks. I hate it.
Yeah.
This is super rare that I get a dog that's this
It's
edgy.
just like this, yeah.
Yeah. Tap again. There we go. Okay. So we're being super strict. A couple of the taps that you did were not needed.
That's fair.
Okay. So we want to start making sure that when we do use the remote, we're using it correctly and appropriately, right? So when you started walking, you did a hit.
Yeah, because
okay?
it didn't seem like he was getting there to me.
Okay.
That's
so
why.
when you started moving, there was probably like a half-second tap to a 3/4 second delay, but I saw him picking up the body.
Okay.
I let that go.
Okay.
Okay. So when we do heel, if I say heel and start moving, unless the dog is blatantly like not moving, I don't remote.
Okay.
The only time we do remote is when the dog is out of position.
Okay.
Okay. So if they delay and he's back there, then clearly we need to keep going and remote him to come back to that leg. Get on the stroller. Jump short the leash. Yep. Yep. Good. And then one slow little step back, like that. So now you're lined up. Okay. So you always want to be facing the same way as Kane, because you want to see what's happening as well. Okay. So a lot of clients I've seen like walk off to the side, give their back, and I'm like, what if the dog runs up or something happens, right? So you always want to make sure that you're observing, and then remember to get shorten that leash. Okay. So when you're walking with Kane, you're only remoting when he's not lined up with you. Okay. And I'm taking advantage because I'm trying to force an issue, and the issue is when he's looking away. Okay. Then when he's looking away, I'm trying to catch him off guard and have you pivot, which is technically unfair. Okay. But it's all I have to work with at the moment. So we're going to do a few more, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay. Whenever you're ready. Yep, and you turn. Right. Short release. Good. Then forward. Oh, I thought it was a camera thing.
What about it?
Did you bring your cord? Because I had that
My cord?
charging cord.
Doesn't charge like that. It's a battery.
I gotcha.
Oh, like the pack thing. I could look because I think I might have one in there. That's not my normal camera bag, kind of thing.
Gotcha. Turn. Tap. 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 We're still 52, right?
58.
Did you bump it?
He did.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we did. No, wait, you're right.
Yeah.
No, we were at 50. Turn. Tap. 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 Good. Slow turn. Nothing there. Good. Does he pucker that mouth a bit?
What?
Like, does he pucker his mouth regularly?
Yes, in public.
Okay. One slow stop. Go ahead and shorten your leash. Let me see this.
Sure.
Earlier, this thing made him tap, tap, tap. There we go. When maybe it was Bill. When I saw Bill move earlier, I'm trying to see where his nerves are at.
Yeah,
Tap.
when people move.
Yeah. You're good.
'Cause,
So.
like, I have somebody, like my mom's boyfriend's in the house. He's never met him. He was doing okay when he was seated on our stairs to help him interact.
Yep.
The moment someone stands up,
Yeah.
it's like a whole other, it's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's nervous response for sure. Because nervousness will settle, and then when something changes in the environment, it triggers again. Then once it calms down, they settle. Something happens, it triggers again. It's just constant back and forth. So like, in the house, it's more so nervousness. Out here, I see more anxiety. Okay. When you're out with him, what behaviors do you correct?
I started taking out more honey collar but he'll throw his hackles up, and the moment I start to see that, I'm sure I don't catch it quick enough. I usually give him like a few yanks, and he'll kind of go back to normal.
Reset.
And he'll still very obviously be, way up there, but he is eating like he just doesn't do the whole lunging and anything like that.
Sure, yeah. So you don't get the escalation.
Yes, I usually don't. It's very rare that it happens now.
Okay.
It used to be a problem for a very long time.
Okay.
And that was something that was like worked on exclusively on wrong, really.
Sure. Yep.
Other than that,
Yep.
it's, for the most part, I only really have to use it with like bites maybe because he wants to run after them. With the bites, it doesn't look like it's a malicious thing. It's more just like, I want to run. Because he likes to run around and be chased, but I also think he's really understand who they are. But for the most part on walks, he's okay for me. He will heel when I walk him.
Okay.
But most of the time I just kind of let him just do his thing. He sniffs so much, and I don't know if that's a bad thing, but based on some of the things I've watched with your videos, seems like it's not something that's supposed to be happening.
Right. So heel is very formal. Okay. So I'm assuming you saw that. What is the heel command and how is it applied?
Yes.
Correct. So yeah, the people's definition of what heel is and what it actually is very different, right? And you want a very black and white heel with a guy like this. Okay. So like I'm disagreeing with a lot of things here. Okay. I have the cat there. Keep looking at that guy, right? I don't mind a glance.
Yeah,
it's like
heel.
one thing, but then it's like locking on, right? Because that's the anxiety, that's the nervousness kicking in, right? Here's looking that way. I don't see anything over there of concern. So like, as I'm talking, you'll probably see me like look off.
Yeah,
right. I do that because of him.
Yeah.
I'm going, what are you looking at? What's in your brain? What's concerning you, right? And once you get used to it, because he's telling you stuff, he's saying, for him, there's things that are happening in this environment that concern you. And for you, you're trying to learn what is concerning to him. And then in some things you might go, if that's not concerning, you correct him, okay? Most people let it go because they're like, well, he's not lunging and barking. I'm like, I understand that. But like, we're not worried about what's going on here.
Yeah.
Right? Other dogs would not be worried about what's going on here. Only him. So he's out the ordinary, right?
Yes.
So that's
what I hate. I don't like the constant
vigilance.
He's always looking.
Yes. Okay. So that's where you coming in and being super strict is hopefully going to help.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to probably start delving into other things as well, because this is going to be a special case. Okay. Homework-wise, we're going to do more stuff. But homework-wise, in terms of feel the word, you're not going to use it. Oh, just fine.
Me. Just don't want to if I get there fast enough.
This is brought to you by.
Yeah, right? Go away.
Good. Don't use the heel word. Okay. Right now, it doesn't have any real meaning. Okay. We want to just teach the basic foundational exercise. And when you feel the tap on my side, is there anywhere you walk him where you're like, yeah, he's very difficult to walk?
Honestly, no, because I don't really walk him that much because I have an issue with people in my neighborhood.
Okay.
Because a lot of them have all their dogs on flexi leashes, and they let him, like, let their dogs run right up to him. And it's not until at the very last second that they realize, oh, bad idea. And by that point, it's not that great problem. And so for the most part, like, I take him, I live like right by, I don't know if you know where Urban is, but they have a huge parking lot that people park in.
Yep.
So I take him over there. I literally live like 2-minute walk from there. So for the most part, I literally just, you can park at my house. I literally just walk him in there, put him on like a really long line, like 50 feet, and I let him run around, play ball.
Sure.
So that's the most part that he gets his exercise from that. Like, I don't walk him in town. I don't walk like, you know.
Go one step back. Yeah. And to make it simpler, just go straight back. Make him figure out what to do. Okay. It'll give us something more to remote him for. I don't mind the pivoting, but in a situation like that, again, habits, right? You're not always going to have the capacity to do that turn. The other thing is I don't want to ever put my back to anything. When I have a dog that's reactive, I want to always keep that focus, okay? So you take him out, that's his exercise,
Yeah,
you
that's
avoid
the
walks.
treadmill, because I have a treadmill for him.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's about it. And he plays in the backyard too, but I hate walking him in my neighborhood because of people. And they absolutely have a huge issue with him just being on wrong. Like, so, like, we take him out with e-collar is also a problem. People, like, will literally yell at me. I hate it. It's the worst.
I have a client that just started Saturday, and she said this guy chased her down and made her cry. Yeah, I was like, what the
Make you
hell?
cry. Get away from me.
You know, like, I was like, why didn't she just call the police? Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
no. So I'm like myself getting used to it
Yep.
because I'm having a huge problem with like people.
Sure. Okay. So that's gonna be tricky too.
Yeah, I'm fine with taking him out and working on his stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for it.
Yep.
No problem with it.
I
If I know
would,
what to do.
Yes. This, whenever I approach my behavior cases, the healing exercise is the foundation. Okay, it's the structure, calmness, you know, putting them out the comfort zone, disagreeing with all this stuff on a consistent basis, right? Because you would walk them up to 3 times a day, right? Or if not, one long 1 hour walk. And since it's a ritual for a lot of people, it's structure that they practice on a regular basis. That's what actually helps the dog. Okay, so instead of doing the long line stuff, I would do walks. Right, walks help de-escalate. Walks help with exposure.
Yeah, this is the most exposure he's gotten in a very long time.
Yeah.
It's in a quiet neighborhood. So
Sure. We had a lady that came here from Texas. She had a German Shepherd mix, or has German Shepherd mix. Same. It's Finn, if you want to see her video. And it was just the same. He kept yipping at everything the first class. It was kind of bad. But then she came back for class 2. Totally different dog. Super passive, like 95% better with the reactivity. Huge improvement, right? So the more you expose them, the quicker he turns around.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, from what I'm seeing here, I'm like, man, like there's anxiety, and then there's just like the anxiety from like lack of structure, right? And here I feel like this is more like a lot of genetic stuff, okay? But we'll see what happens. It doesn't mean we won't get any progress. It's just, it may not be as much as we would like,
Yeah.
but there will be progress, okay? So, for the handler, just getting used to being aware of your surroundings. You know Kane better than I do, okay? I'm learning Kane as we go along, and from previous experiences, just working with a lot of dogs. And whenever, you know, can you see his little nose from your peripheral?
Yeah.
Yeah, getting used to that, right? So like right now,
The dark brown.
with that on the dark background.
hard right here.
Yeah. So like if he's looking at you, right, like this, and all of a sudden you see this happen, but you're focused over here, you know, you want to get used to seeing that so you can correct it. And I never change my body language really. I might check and see, is this something that I should be concerned about, like an off-leash dog or whatever? But if it's all, you know, I'm correcting as quickly as I can, and then checking out the scene, making sure I get him 100, like as close to 100% as possible. I don't need him staring at you. Okay, we don't need like this the whole time.
Yeah.
All we need is forget about it. That's 50 feet away. That's the dog 100 feet away. It doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter to me. Relax, right? So then what we end up starting to learn is if I give in to this anxiety and become ultra vigilant, consequence happens. Okay, you're just biting. You're disagreeing with behavior. Just like any other dog would correct, he would correct any other dog for something they don't like. Okay, because a lot of people go like, well, Jess, the dog's just looking. Like, I understand that, but because of the dog's behavior, you have to address it. You have to progress on handling that emotional response. Because if he's super used to like looking at every single thing, right? He's gonna keep looking at every single thing, right? So you're disrupting that brain, that mental pattern, and so eventually he's like, hey, yeah, there is something going on 50 feet away, but I don't have to worry about it. Like nothing bad's ever happened, right? It's all in here. It starts to settle. I'm gonna just keep saying hopefully not, because
Well, he did really good. Actually, the day that my mom came home, was I doing it right? Probably not. But, you know, he left her where all the excitement was happening and came and sat down by me and didn't move until I told him it's okay to go over here, which is the best that's ever happened.
And that was with the tapping and the...
Yes.
Okay. So, what you did there, when your mom came in, was you don't need to be that excited. That's all you did. Okay, don't look at it as return to me and lay down. That's obedience. It's about obedience, okay? It's about don't need to be that excited. So it's like if you tell kids we're going to Disneyland, you're probably right loud in response. Tell the kids we're going to church. You're probably not going to get that same response, right? So same thing for the dog. And I understand your mom is like Disneyland to him, right? But because of the other emotional issues that he has, we're tapering down all these things so they tend to feed into each other, okay? So then, if he practices more passiveness, you get a more passive dog. Okay, yep. So, good, nice little shift. Good. And that shift in that body is also a mental shift, okay? Him turning his back, that's avoidance behavior. And him going like, all right, cool, just don't even really worry about it. And how quick it was on one tab is good, okay? So, is this all starting to make sense?
Yes, we're getting there.
We're going to disagree with a lot of stuff. It's going to be really hard in the beginning, okay?
I want to know what you mean.
So, leash walking is going to be your primary exercise for this week. Just this, okay? Take advantage. If you're walking with Kane and he looks like this, I might just throw in a random turn. It is technically unfair, okay? But I do that to remote him, to try to keep him as focused on me as possible. Mentally, I don't need, again, the physical looking like this, okay? Because what you might create in the beginning is this.
Yeah.
Right? It's not necessary. It's not going to be forever.
Okay.
But I want to see that in the beginning because that's telling me he's starting to associate. Don't worry about what's going on over here. Worry about what's going on right here. Don't worry about what's going on with mom, right?
Yeah.
We see how does that affect the hackles because I know you made progress with the activity.
Yeah.
So,
They get up there.
let's say you create that. Yeah. Good. Let's say you create that and you come across a context when you typically see is hackles and you step aside or whatever, you let it happen and there's no hackles, we're already making progress. Okay, that's how I start to pick up on the dog.
Dogs are really the only thing.
Right. Now, do use your judgment, right? Like if it's on a flex leash and they're not controlling their dog. One,
I try to avoid it.
I use it to my advantage. Do it, progress as you're
I just
comfortable.
get worried with
Yes.
because I don't trust them not like their dog because
Right.
right up to him and there I'm like I don't know what to do.
Correct. So what we're gonna do here is one, I suggest when you walk up, have them on the line. Okay? Because it's gonna allow you to press him more, put you at ease, and take advantage of the situations. Okay? I get the flex leash thing. I hate it, right? But I'm going like you're Highland Park, right? Highland. I would say Highland, like Highlander, but it's Highland Park.
Yeah.
So,
Children.
good. So, I'm trying to adjust your training to your scenario. Yep. Yep. Relax. Watch. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep. But did you see that we didn't get the second half, but we got the first half, where he was kind of like this, and you remoted, and you did create this half relaxation. Okay, but then his little nose is sticking out. So I would have liked him to back off a bit, but that was good considering.
Sniffing okay or is that a no?
Sniffing is actually okay because that's curiosity. Because I saw the nose come out too, so that's a good pickup, right? But it's he's giving a couple of things. Typically dogs just go like this and they sniff, but he's like puckering and he's sniffing.
Yeah.
So I'm going right.
It's okay there.
Yeah. So use your judgment, okay? But you saw the very obvious, just going to the hip sit, right? That's relaxation. So he's always forward, right? So what we're trying to do here is dogs learn by association. Just like, again, kids, Disneyland, fun. Church, not as fun. Maybe for some. Not for this guy. That one I don't know. So, if he sees kids, and the last thing he remembers is, I was in a relaxed state, the next time he sees kids, the previous association is relaxed state. And we want to build on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if the last thing is, when I saw a dog, I was puffed up and ready to go, the next time he sees a dog, he's thinking I was pumped up and ready to go.
Working on that at all. It's still there.
Right. So, and that's what we're trying to get to. It's just relaxation. You don't have to escalate. There's no reason to. Okay. And we're doing very little guidance with that leash. You're doing all remote. Okay. So like earlier when he laid down and he tapped and he sat back up again, a lot of people would go to leash and just help pick the dog up. I don't. I go to remote. Okay. Because if he ever gets off leash, your first response most likely will be go for the leash. Okay. I want your first response to be go to the remote.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's going to be ultimately what's going to give you the full control on or off leash. So the more you get used to using it, the less you rely on your leash. Okay, so leash walking, muzzle them to make you feel better. Don't worry about your neighbors. If you see them with their flexi leash, I do the same thing. I step aside. I take control of the situation. We're training, right? They continue to be a jerk. We're training. Can you please take your dog back, right? Your dog comes, hell, I might just let him teach him a lesson. He's muzzled. I actually had a client do that. This guy let his dog run up to her dog's office, and her dog was muzzled. And she's like, not friendly. He's like, they're friendly. She's like, not friendly.
Everyone always does.
Yes. So and her dog was blowing up. So she's like, you know what? Boom. And then that guy was running fast as hell to go get his dog. Okay. It's just the way of the world, right? So, if anything, if it goes south, he's muzzled, but it's giving you the experience with shutting down the behavior, for one. But two, technically for a dog, he has to exhibit the behavior, have it be corrected in order to learn that it's not allowed.
Yeah.
Like, you can't talk to him before a walk and go, look here, Kane. We'll see some dogs. No lunging. Okay? It's upsetting the mom. Right? And he doesn't, right? So, I try to take advantage of it. Okay? Plus, you have a quieter.
Yeah. So I guess is it better to make them sit and use them walking around?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes.
I was told by the first trainer that's a horrible thing to do.
Yeah. The reason why they say that is because the dog's stress levels go up.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of trainers that say don't do that. That's why I said forget what you know. Okay? The book is wrong.
Okay.
This is what I took. The book is wrong. Okay? And they don't know what they're doing. So, stepping aside increases stress levels because now that stimuli or that stressor is closing a gap, right? And this is typically the window where dogs will explode. So if he's doing great, about here is when I start to expect we're going to see a moment of reactivity, okay? But if you don't do this, one day you turn a corner, there's a dog. You're not going to be able to avoid it.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, going back to earlier, is you're getting used to building all these habits of if he does blow up here, you're already kicking into control. It's a controlled context. You're stepped aside. Ideally, if we're far enough that we're not going to make contact, you can correct him, de-escalate him, practice those skills. You do that 100 times, and then one day you turn the corner, oh crap, random dog, and you're going into that skill set that you've been practicing so much during those days. Okay, I train for real life scenarios. I get people that live in buildings, and I had one lady in particular that just go down like 27 flights of stairs because she did not want to go on the elevator because her dog was super reactive.
Yeah, that's why like eventually
Life's
when I
dilemmas.
move, I'm terrified that I'm gonna end up somewhere around here. And I'm like,
yeah, so I'm used to dealing with this stuff, and that but the way they teach things does not apply to life. That's why we're here. That's why I was like, let's train at Oz because if we can do it here, everywhere else should be much easier. Okay, so yeah, forget what you've learned before. It's just a whole new kind of tap. There you go. Okay. questions?
I have like other stuff that is not related, but because he's got some pre-registration.
Oh, that's easy. Don't worry about those.
Okay.
Don't worry about those.
Yeah, I can't give him like one.
Yeah, that's easy. Not worried about
Okay.
that. Behaviorally, this is going to be the most work. Okay. We'll do one quick back and forth. I'm going to have you do your own thing. If you find an opportunity to just 180 turn, and only thing I'll have you tweak is when you do that turn.
Just yeah, I know. I take like that.
Yeah, you kind of round it out a bit.
I do.
I want it to be as direct as possible, like that. Don't steal my move, though.
I already learned it at camp, so about face.
Go ahead. Right, I guess how do you turn tap? Tap, 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 turn, tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. A little bit of delay there. Forward, tap, tap, forward. Yep, moving forward. Tap, 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 tap. Let's see what's stuck in his head.
Yeah, well, we're really low right now.
What are we at?
36.
If you turn it up, did I do? It must maybe when you
It may have been when I.
Yep. 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 And what you can do here is when that's fine. So then you do 52 right here. Okay. So what you can do is tap, 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 no response, turn. Tap, tap. Same thing as in the house.
Okay.
Okay. So you can start because right there clearly whatever it was at did not work the entire time. And you did three tap, 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 nothing, right? When you hit that right number, you're going to see that immediate response. And earlier, when that guy was walking by, and he turned and tapped him, boom, one tap got you all of that, right? That's what you're trying to get each time you use the remote. Is if not by the first tap, by the third tap, you're wanting to see some considerable response, okay? So we'll use this turn then. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Bump.
It is
Yep, yep, yep. There you go. What's that number? You see that difference though, right? Getting used to seeing that. Yeah, but that's why, 3 walks a day, putting yourself in the environment, using that to your advantage is what's going to help you develop that skill set fast. Okay? One more quick little walk and then tap it there. You turn it down. Because now he's not as escalated from someone walking behind him. There we go. Good turn. Slow. Slower and stop. Good. Last thing before I forget. When you come to stops and when you come to turns, slow down. Okay? If Kane is paying attention, what should he do?
Probably.
Follow.
Like
Yeah.
come around.
No, or he should slow down with you.
Yeah.
Right? Where he sits, I'm not going to worry about right now.
Okay.
Just that he sits is fine. Okay. But always slow before you turn. Always slow before you stop. Because if you go on an actual walk and you've been going for 20 minutes,